Here we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Yesterday we left off at the last line of Sukkah. Today we start Maseches Beitza. So here's the raya. So look at the Rabbeinu Chananah. I pointed this to Ozzy last night. So Rabbeinu Chananah, which never starts off like this. If you read the Rabbeinu Chananah on the side, right, the little column on the outside of the Tosfos, he says, Azchil Maseches Beitza Be'ezras Gadol Ha'etza. Right? It's like a little poem, right? So, and nowhere else, you look at Masechah Rabbeinu Chananah, doesn't start off with, Aska Maseches Sukkah or Aska Maseches, whatever, Moed Katan. Doesn't do it. Why does it do it here? Right? So, Beitza rhymes with Eitza. Beya does not rhyme with Eitza. So, obviously, Rabbeinu Chananah, Ozzy didn't like this, right? He said he was Sephardi. No, he said he was Sephardi. But he was
Sephardi. No Sephardi in the world has ever called it Beya.
Right. Yeah. So, right. So someone to point out that.
What about the?
Why does he put that there? What? No, Be'ezras Gadol, right? It's with the great wisdom, with great knowledge, with great insight, right?
Did your father ever call it Beya?
It sounds Yiddish.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Zuk, the Mishnah. So Beitza Shanolda B'Yontif, an egg.
I know it's not Yiddish.
An egg, right?
It's Aramaic.
An egg that was. So an egg that was laid on Yontif. Beis Shammai Oimrim Teichal. Beis Shammai says no issue with it. So you can eat it. If you'd like to eat, you go ahead. Chicken lays an egg, you can go ahead and eat it. Beis Hillel Oimrim Lo Teichal. Beis Hillel says you cannot. It's muksa. We'll see why. The Gemara will explain different. There'll be several opinions. We'll get to two of them today as to what the machlokes is between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. Now, Beis Hillel is more machmir here, and speaking of different machlokes between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, right, where Beis Hillel is machmir regarding Yantif. So the Mishnah brings in two separate machlokes that have nothing to do with Beitza, rather just to do with Yantif. Beis Shammai, or Bekazayis, Bechameis, Bechameis. Beis Shammai says the measurement for Seor, for sourdough, right? There's a different prohibition when it comes to Seor on Pesach. On Pesach, excuse me. The shear is a Kazayis, and the shear is a Kazayis for one to be Chayiv. And when it comes to Chametz, right, something which is leaven, Begoseves, right, size of a large day, which is larger than a Kazayis. Beis Hillel says both Seor, right, sourdough, right, which is like a leavening agent, and a chametz, something which is leaven, right, that is both a kazayis. Hashechet, and furthermore, hashechet chayv oaf yantif. One goes ahead and shechs a chaya, an animal or oaf, or a bird or an animal, something that requires kisui hadam to go ahead and cover it with dirt. Yantif. You can go ahead and dig, and go ahead and then use that earth to go ahead and cover it. No, you can't go ahead and shecht it unless the dirt and prepares from the day before was already prepared to go ahead and cover it. But you can't start digging now. However, that both Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai shachat, that one did go ahead and shecht it without doing it first. Sheyachbar b'daka v'chasa, that he should go ahead and dig a little, right, with his scooper, and then go ahead and cover the blood. Sha'afar kira muchanu, because the ashes, right, from a kira, from a stove, are considered to be prepared, are considered to be muchan, and they're right. And so the Gemara will explain what is going on here, right? Rashi says, "Boy, my cover." Fine. That was the mission. So let's concentrate on the first machlokes. When it comes to an egg that was on Yontif, Beis Shammai says enjoy. Beis Hillel says you can't go ahead and eat it. You can't eat this egg that was laid on Yontif. So now, let's see. So the question is going to be right. Oh no, but we'll see. No lad or muksa. Let's see. Right. No lad is something that it wasn't around yet, but we'll get to tomorrow. Let's see. So Zak the Gemara. The Mayas Kinan. What is the situation here? What are the if we're talking about a tarnagolas, which is one can eat, and therefore one can go ahead and prepare it, right, on Yantif, right? That's not muksa, right? So my time at Beis Hillel, Uchla dafreresu. What's the reason according to Beis Hillel, right? According to, if the chicken, right, is considered to be muchan because it's set to be eaten, right? It was set aside to be eaten. So this is just part of the chicken. The egg is part of the chicken. So the chicken's not muksa, the egg's not muksa, right? So what's the reason according to Beis Hillel? Ella, rather, what do you say? Maybe we're talking about a chicken that's there to lay eggs, right? And therefore, maybe that's the reason, and therefore it wasn't it wasn't around yet, right? When Yontif started, and therefore it's muksa. So my time with the Beis Shammai, right? Muksa. What's the reason why Beis Shammai should be muksa? So Gemara says, "My kusha, Dilma Beis Shammai, that's the muksa." Perhaps Beis Shammai does not hold the muksa, right? There's the machlokas that we saw, right, when it came to Masechah Shabbos, where we were discussing the by muksa. So Rabbi Shimon has a famous shita of leslo muksa. He does not hold a muksa. In other words, he's a very broad understanding of muksa. And Rabbi Yehuda is more machmer when it comes to muksa. We actually most of the time hold like Rabbi Shimon, right? Even though we do hold things are muksa, but when it comes to the machlokes, so Rabbi Shimon is less hold muksa. He's considered not hold a muksa, and Rabbi Yehuda isle muksa. So Gemara says, what's the kasha in Beis Shammai? So even if it was something that the chicken was there to lay eggs, so it's muksa. So maybe you hold there is no muksa, right? Don't be sure, let's do muksa. So kasal gadais rafilu man to shari muksa. So maybe according to the people there is muksa, the nolad us. But when it comes to nolad, that's us. Why? Because muksa is something that wasn't set aside, it wasn't set to be used on Yontif. Nolad, right, is something which is born, didn't exist. It didn't exist when Shabbos started. Since it didn't exist, maybe even if you don't hold a muksa, you hold a nolad because it didn't exist. So that's the havamina. So, like Mayor pointed out, or you guys pointed out, he says, it's nolad. Something that was born yesterday. When Shabbos started or Yontif started, it wasn't around. Now there's an egg the next day. So therefore, it's considered a muksa because of nolad. So I feel the man to share muksa of nolad. So my time with the Beis Really, we are talking about a chicken that's there to lay eggs. And therefore, the question is, it should be muksa, right? So because it wasn't there before. But isle muksa, isle nolad. If you hold a muksa, you hold a nolad. But the less muksa, but Beis Shammai, if you don't hold like muksa, right, or the opinion who doesn't hold like muksa, less nolad. There is no nolad. Also doesn't apply, and therefore Beis Shammai, Rabbi Shimon. Beis Shammai holds like Rabbi Shimon, who says there is no muksa. There is no nolad. Therefore, since I can go ahead and lay an egg is usable on Yontif, I can go ahead and cook it on Yontif. So therefore, it's mutter. Beis Hillel, Rabbi Yehuda, and Beis Hillel hold like Rabbi Yehuda. Fine. We Omar Rav Nachman Hakin. Did Rav Nachman say this that Beis Shammai is makel like Rabbi Shimon, and Beis Hillel is holds a muksa like Rabbi Yehuda? Now we learn in the Mishnah. Beis Shammai says when it comes to Shabbos, one is, let's say, eating nuts and shells right on his table. You can go ahead and move directly. You can move stuff directly from the table. You go ahead and take off the table and you shake the table. You can't directly pick up the shells. You can't directly pick up the the bones, right? That are right from the food, right? It's muksa because it's no longer fit. Huh? No, over there it's talking about something which is muksa machasmiyos is something that has no purpose. Different types of muksa. So over there, shells, right? There's a halach shaila. You have pistachio nuts. You have the shells afterwards. Halach shaila, right? So now, Beis Shammai over there says you can handle it directly. Beis Hillel says no, you got to pick the table and indirectly. It's muksa. The Amar Rav Nachman and same Rav Nachman, which was our Rav Nachman, says, "Anu ein lanu ella Beis Shammai Rabbi Yehuda Beis Hillel Rabbi Shimon." He said, flip flop the shifas. Beis Shammai is machmer. He says you can't touch the shells. You can just shake off the table or the tray that it's on. And Rabbi Yehuda to Beis Hillel. And Rabbi Yehuda hold like Beis Hillel that excuse me, Beis Shammai Rabbi Yehuda Beis Hillel Rabbi Shimon. And Beis Hillel holds like Rabbi Shimon that you can go ahead and take it directly. So we see that Beis Hillel holds you can go ahead and touch it directly. But in our case, when we're talking about the egg, our case, Beis Hillel says you can't have the egg. So how could Rav Nachman say Beis Hillel is like Rabbi Yehuda? From over here we see Beis Hillel Rabbi Shimon. So Rav Nachman Gabe Shabbos, when it comes to Shabbos, as we'll soon see, the Stam Lantana Karebi Shimon. The Stam Mishnah in Maseches Shabbos is like Rabbi Shimon is Mekel. That's now we learn in the Mishnah. One go ahead and cut up gourds, right? They're already separated from the ground, which are not really fit for human consumption. But you can go ahead and cut up gourds for an animal, right? Or an avela, a carcass, or dogs. You're allowed to do that. In other words, there is no muksa. Rabbi Shimon, right? And therefore, since over there we are Mekel, so therefore we'll say there is like there's no muksa like Rabbi Shimon. We'll say that's the opinion of Beis Hillel, holds like that. But Gabi Yontif, turn the page. The Stam Lantana Rabbi Huda. But when it comes to Yontif, that the Stam Mishnah is like Rabbi Huda, holds of muksa, opposite of Shabbos. Shabbos, we just said, we're Mekel, right? Go ahead and cut up a vela. Go ahead, you can cut up a corpse for a dog to feed it, even though the corpse is muksa, not a human, right? But you can cut up a dead animal, right, and feed it to your dogs. But when it comes, so we're Mekel there, but when it comes to Yontif, there's Machmer Rabbi Yehuda. That's now we learn a Mishnah. So one cannot go ahead and take wood, right? He wants to go ahead and there's wood set aside for building, right? You got your 2x4 is a bit expensive these days, but you need to go ahead and fire up your fire because you want to cook for Yontif. So I'll take the from the construction materials, or a beam that broke on Shabbos, I'll take it there, or bring the book on Yontif, I'll go ahead and burn that. Can't do it. It's muksa. So therefore, therefore we hold when it comes to Yontif, Beis Hillel Rabbi Yehuda. So therefore, there's difference, right? When it comes to Shabbos, we were Mekel, and therefore Rav Nachman will say Beis Hillel holds like Rabbi Shimon. But in our case, which is Yontif, right, because we hold like Beis Hillel hold like Rabbi Yehuda because we're machmer when it comes to Yontif.
So Rabbi, but Shammai actually more makir.
Yeah, Beis Shammai will make them, right? Yes,
so
right,
really
right. So Gemara says, "Man, stam l'masnisen." So I understand who's the one who puts the stam mission. Who's the stam? Who puts it together? That's Rebbe. That's Rabbi Nasi. So Ma'ishna b'Shabbos the stam on Rabbi Shimon, but Ma'ishna b'Yontif stam on Rabbi Yehuda. So why does he do that? Why when it comes to Shabbos? He holds the opinion of Rabbi Shimon, which they're very lax in muksa. Well, Ma'ishna b'Yontif the stam on Rabbi Yehuda, who's very machmir in muksa. So they say Shabbos the chamira lo asla zuziba. Shabbos, right? There's more prohibitions, right? There's more things you can't do. Therefore, a person comes to won't be mezalzel, right? You can't cook and all that. So therefore, you're Rabbi mezalzel. You don't need to go up and set up extra gedar and we can be makeup. However, stam like Rabbi Shimon to makeup. However, Yontif to kill. However, when Yontif is very makeup, you can do this in Yontif. You can do this. And people might come to be mezalzel Yontif.
I like that you balance the
Stam like Rabbi Yehuda. Therefore, it holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Right?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so let's go back to the case. So that was the Rav Nachman wanted to say that we're talking about the Machlokes is Beis Shammai holds like Beis Shammai says mutter because he holds like Rabbi Shimon, and Beis Hillel holds like Rabbi Yehuda because he holds like Beis Hillel holds like Rabbi Yehuda because there is he's machmer and says that it's muksa. Now, for my ukita, so okay, we're beitzim. Okay, fine. So you want to say we're talking about a chicken that's not there for eating. The chicken itself is muksa, but the eggs we're discussing. If that's the case, why are they arguing on the egg? Just the egg. They should also argue on the tarnagolas itself, right? In other words, you should say that. Why don't they discuss why the tarnagolas itself is muksa or not? So it would be the same machlokes Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. So one says no, lo dia koichan the Beis Shammai. No, let's show no. Because it wants to teach extra chiddush, and not only is muksa. If you just said the chicken, I just say okay, it's muksa. There is no muksa. But even the egg, which is nolad, that shows you that even in that case, Beis Shammai is also makeup. So the lifluge b'tarnagoles lodikachad the Beis Hillel the muksa asiri, right? So why don't you go ahead and say okay, let's talk about the chicken itself and say that even Beis Hillel says that the chicken itself is muksa. And v'chi tema koach that here adif. And if you say, oh no, the koach, the chiddush to be matir is a bigger chiddush. Therefore, that's so niflu b'tarbayu. Just say both cases. Tarnagolas how mes lagadol beitzim he ubeitzasa. right? When it comes to a chicken, right, that is set, that its purpose is to lay eggs, it and its eggs, right? What's the status there? Beis Shammai Yavim Teichel, Beis Hillel Yavim Lo Teichel. Beis Shammai says you can eat it, and Beis Hillel says you can't eat it, right? Why doesn't the Mishnah say that if that's the case? So Ella Amar Rabba, rather Rabba says Li'elam B'Tarnegos HaMez Lachim. Scratch that. Nupshat in the Mishnah. Really, we're talking about the chicken that's really they want these, prepared to shech and eat on Yantiv. Ubi Yantiv shechal yois achar Shabbos askina. And we're talking about Yantif that falls out on Sunday, right? Saturday night, Sunday. Mishum hachana. And it's because of hachana, of preparation, right? In other words, even though this is set to eat, now Ksavi Rabba called Beitza de Misyalda, Ha'ida Miasmo Gamerla. Any egg that's laid today was really developed yesterday. All right, this is 1 day old. So therefore, it was from before. It wasn't prepared today. It was prepared on the day before. The day before was Shabbos. Now, the Rabba Latame, and Rabba goes, she does Dama Rabba, Maidachsi, what's the possible mean? V'hayabayom Ashishi, Veichinu as Asher Yavo. Yaviu, excuse me, right? Yaviu, look at the pasuk here. Yavo, yeah. So he says over there, right? Right. Fine. I guess it's talking about the man over there. Is that yeah? So it says over there that you prepare, right? That what you'll bring, right? You'll go ahead and bring it. So in other words, chol meichin the Shabbos. We see that the 6 days you can go ahead and prepare from chol to Shabbos. The chol meichin the yantiv or chol for yantiv. Ve'en yantiv meichin the Shabbos. Ve'en Shabbos meichin the yantiv. However, right? You can't go ahead and prepare. Right, from Shabbos to Yom to Shabbos, right? We're not discussing after Shilin. You can't prepare for one to the other. So therefore, this egg, quote unquote, is prepared, i.e., developed on Shabbos. You can't prepare the Shabbos for Sunday. For Yom Tov. And therefore, that's the reason why this egg is muksa. This egg is muksa because it wasn't prepared properly. It was prepared on Yom Tov.
No, on Shabbos.
On Shabbos. Sorry, right there you go. It was prepared on Shabbos for Yom Tov. Therefore, it's muksa. According to Yontif B'Alma Tishtri, if that's the case, a regular Yontif on Wednesday, the egg is born on that, should be okay according to Beis Shammai, right? Because it was developed on Tuesday. Nothing wrong with the Tuesday. You can prepare from Chol to Yontif. So the Gemara says no. Yontif Achar Shabbos. If you permit that case, people might also permit the eggs that were born on Sunday. Shabbos the Alma Tishri, okay, but an egg born on Shabbos or late on Shabbos should be okay. Why? Because it was developed on Friday. So Gzeira B'Shem Shabbos Acher Yontif. No, the problem is because the Shabbos after Yontif, right? Then, right, it was Friday. Then it was really from Yontif. You can't prepare from Yontif to Shabbos, right? So many ask, I understand why would an egg is mutter on Yontif because you go ahead and cook it. You can't cook it on Shabbos, right? You can eat it raw. So that's the question in this case. The Gemara says, right? And who says we make it such a gzeira, right? That it should be muksa on all yantis because of that. Well, tani linen rice. Hashaychid is a tarnagolas. Umatzaba beitzim gemuros. Mataras le'echlam yantif. One goes and shechs a chicken, and he finds inside developed eggs, right? It's mutter to eat them on yantif. And if you're going to say we make zeiras, if we allow you to eat eggs inside a shechted chicken, right, you might go ahead and eat eggs that are laid by a chicken. Why don't you make the egg the zeira? No, eggs found in a shechted chicken are something which is not common. And something which is not common, the Rabbanan do not see fit to make a gzeira in such a case. It's unnecessary because it's not a general case. But when it comes to all eggs laid on Yontif, that, according to Beis Shammai, will remain to be usher. All right, we'll stop here. Shkoyach, everybody. Continue.
Monday morning, everybody.